Testing, testing. Helps if I don't mute.
Can you hear me all right?
Good morning, everyone. It is March 2nd, 2021. Welcome to the Canvas Admin Office Hours. I'm Jake Standish, and I'm joined by Justin Keene and Amy Slack. And somewhere down there is a milk cactus that's representing Sagan for today. Anyway, let's get into it. So, take a look at our schedule here. The reminders are the same as always. Nothing new has been added to reminders in a while. Canvas.cmslearns.org is a great place for any resources specific to CMS Canvas, the kind of burning topics that people are looking for. We try to keep them there. We have our admin consultations. You can click that link to request time just to some one-on-one talk with the Canvas super admins with us to kind of discuss any issues you're seeing at your site. That CMS Google account link will show you how to make sure that you're only logged in with one Google account per Chrome user sessions. We highly recommend checking that out. Of course, our PD Office Hours form is open all the time, so you can add questions anytime you like. We appreciate them actually being filled out during the week because we can check them and helps us be able to answer questions without having to think on our feet directly right as they come in during the office hours. So if you want to put something in early, please feel free to do that. And when you submit tickets, yeah, put in all the details possible. Course links, student IDs, staff IDs, or staff email, just whatever it is. This week, I think some of our favorites have been people putting in a ticket just saying my course doesn't work, and they have like a dozen different courses that are PowerSchool created, and we have to go check every single one to figure out which one has the problem. So always be as specific as possible with links is all we're saying there. Use the PD course support forums if you're doing any of our professional developments like the Canvas morning, challenge or everyone. Google Drive challenge.
Jake, can you mute your YouTube?
Just did that. Is that working?
Yeah, we're still a little behind, but it's okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. So the PowerSchool changes to Canvas, again, they can take a couple of days to finish, but they are processing. Sometimes those PowerSchool changes causes you grade passback issues, so teachers won't be able to pass grades today because schedules changed in PowerSchool, but Canvas doesn't have those changes yet. But by tomorrow or the next day, it syncs just fine. We have some recurring tickets being put in because of this, and I'm like, look, it's because your schedules are changing. Students are moving from one section to another based on face-to-face or full remote, and we just have to adapt, and it takes a few days for that to come through. And then we have digital learning consultations with Trish and Aubrey down here. You can always talk to them about your digital learning needs, and that's it for our updates or reminders. Also, the webinars can be viewed from the course. Just click on the Canvas Admin course, and then you'll see recordings for each of these meetings. So there's that. Updates. We've got Blueprint course content was updated Friday, so courses should be reflecting that. The quarter 4 content for all of the subject areas that have Blueprint content being pushed to them should be there by now. So just giving you a heads up that should be there. Canvas has some feature releases we wanted to take a look at this morning. So these are not live yet. They are, as the release notes say, they'll go out on March 20th. But I want you to be thinking about what changes will be coming, and there's some pretty good ones, some interesting ones that it's better to be aware that they're coming before they happen. So a couple of things to look at here. You can create new quizzes from the modules page now. Before you had to open up quizzes and then click to create a quiz, and you could choose between classic or new quizzes. But with this release, you'll be able to create new quizzes right from the modules page, which is really good. This next one I think is going to be quite impressive. The assignment selection to use your webcam to submit is coming up here. So they'll be able to just take a photo right from the file upload option, just use webcam, click, and submit. So it should ease the process to make those picture assignment submissions a little bit easier. So liking the way that looks. I know this is what we're seeing here is for the web version. I'm not sure what this means for apps. And yeah, it just aligns to the behavior that's already in the student app. So I don't think there's any changes to what's already in the student app, but from the Chromebooks for our students or their own personal device, they can just use their webcam, hold up their work, take a picture. So that'll be pretty cool. What else are we looking at? Yeah, the start and end date for a course, we've if you go into a course settings, you'll see this. Let me see. Let me go to Canvas. Forgot I hadn't logged into Canvas on this account yet, so let's do that. We can log in with Google. I remember you guys taught me that last week. Okay, so when you are in a course as a teacher, you can go into the course settings. And they are making a change to this, the start and end date. I want to point out that any course created from PowerSchool, so the ones that teachers have with student enrollments, probably should not tamper with this at all. The teacher does not need to change the start and end date because the access for the student is determined by the grading terms for that course. So if it's a year-round course, they'll have access to it on the first day of school, and they will stop having access to it on the last day of school, access to submit work and assignments and everything from there. So we can modify that. You don't need to set a start and end date here because those terms will override anything that's put here anyway. Unless this end date comes before the end of a school year, and we've had this in a few times. Someone, we don't know who, someone in the course went in there and changed the end date to like yesterday, and then the teacher's like, help, I can't access my course, my students can't do anything in the course either, what's going on? And well, someone put in an end date and concluded the course essentially. So we remove that and they're back and running. But the release notes say that these changes are coming so that you'll see an interface where the participation is set by the grading term or by the course dates, start and end dates. So you can kind of override when students get to work in the course. This is a setting that doesn't change what I already said. Users probably should not be editing the start and end dates of their courses. That should not be done, but we find people do, and it can cause some problems. So they're just adding more granularity to these settings. So it's just something to notice, and it's a good moment for us to point out the issues that we see when people put start and end dates into their courses. What we do for a course like this one, this is the Canvas Challenge, we will at some point come in here and conclude it. We wouldn't use the start and end date, and we'd have the option to conclude it because it's not a PowerSchool course. All right, so the PowerSchool courses, they just automatically get taken care of because of those terms. They basically the start and end dates from PowerSchool will override all of the settings here, so we don't even have to worry about those. But if it's a manual course that you're working in, you could conclude the course when you're ready to conclude it, and that's what we'd recommend. If you set an end date, that would essentially conclude it as well and make it so that the participants can no longer do anything in the course, they can only view the content. So yeah, so that's the release notes. What else? Creating new quizzes versus classic right from inside of a module. That's pretty cool. So you can choose the new quizzes, which you should be choosing new quizzes for any quiz you're making brand new at this point. Classic quizzes will be going away eventually. So it's better to, if you're making new ones, just use the new quizzes. Learning outcomes, not much has changed there, just a different view, more options for what you can view by student. And then we got some permission settings. Those are not anything you really you need to worry about there for that. Just giving us more ability to give permissions at a individual level. Let's see, what was the next one? The rich content editor now has file preview enhancements that will allow you to make the file that you upload to Canvas, to a Canvas page, immediately be viewed by the user. Instead of having to expand to view it, it'll just be there inline. So that inline preview is a pretty cool feature to note, and we're excited about that. It would be like embedding a Google document. You know, Google Docs, when you embed them, they just appear on the page automatically. There's no expanding it to see it, it's just there. So you'll have the option to make your files be expanded in the preview like that. So that's really cool. SpeedGrader, you can reassign submissions now. So if a teacher sees, let me see the screen here. Yeah, so when you're in SpeedGrader and you're grading the work, you can click a button to reassign the assignment to that individual. So you can tell the student, I'm sorry, it looks like you were not paying attention to the rubric for this. I don't know what happened. Maybe you missed it, but here is the rubric, and I need you to resubmit. So it's a great way to communicate right from inside of SpeedGrader when students should try again for that assignment. All right, I think that is it for our features. Yeah, so the Canvas release notes, these are in the Canvas Canvas guides. You can get to the release notes. If you sign in, you can subscribe to them, which I do, which all of us do. We get emails for them to be able to get those release notes. So I highly recommend checking those out. And the March feature release right here in the slides. So you can just open that up and get to these feature releases. And if you sign in to the Canvas community, which is just use your CMS Canvas account to do that. Once you're signed in, you can subscribe, and we've talked about that before. So just make note of that. It's good to keep a pulse of what's coming in Canvas because some of these changes are can be quite big and good for you to be aware of them. CMS seniors. We just sent out a notification yesterday to all CMS seniors. This is no different than it has been in years past. We let the seniors know that at the end of their of this school year, if they or when they graduate, their Google account will not be accessible to them. They won't be able to log in, so they will need to do something about their data if they want it. Now, most students do find that they want it later, so we send a communication. This button here will show you the contents of the email that was sent to students, and we will send this again multiple times before the end of May, at least once in April, and then a few times in May as we get closer and closer to the end of the school year. So it just explains to them that their Google account, their CMS Google account, will no longer be accessible by them, and that they should download or transfer their data. So we give them directions for each of these. Google Takeout will give you a zip file of everything you own in Google Drive. So you have to be the owner, not the editor, but an owner, and you would be able to download that as one big zip file that can then be extracted, and you can open them up in Microsoft Office or upload them to Google Drive or wherever else you want to work with them. You can also transfer files. So Google Transfer would let you enter in another Google account as I want a copy of everything that's in my CMS account to go over to this personal account. The problem with that is storage. So a personal Google account may not have a lot of storage. I think it's 15 gigabytes. And Google is changing so that even docs and sheets and slides count as part of that storage. So it can get a little bit difficult to get all the content transferred over to a personal account. But it is an option. So we make sure they're aware of that. And let me just at the bottom there, please note, CMS may not be able to honor a request to access your Google data after you graduate from CMS. And this is an important thing. We communicate it often, and we also get a lot of requests the following year to get access to their data because they're writing this paper in college and they'd really like to have the stuff they did in high school, or whatever reason it is, they want their data. Well, we're trying to get in front of that so that they can be proactive and make sure they have the data they need before that panic email. And it's coming from some account that we don't recognize. It's how do we know they are who they say they are? All of that. It's very time consuming. It's a tedious process to ensure that we are giving data to the person that created it. So we are just sending this communication out. So if you are at a high school, please be aware of this. Please communicate this to your teachers. Make sure that they're aware and they can support their students with this. Encourage them to at least review their files and take the ones they want. They may not need to use Takeout or Google Transfer, but make sure that they get the files they want, because once they're gone, they will not have access. All right, so that's that. What else? Next is Justin. Are you up?
Yeah, I think they've settled down enough. So if you'll click for me though, Jake.
Sure. Before we do that, please know, Justin put me in charge of the meme today, so this is my fault, and I thought it would be appropriate for me to put that specific one up there. All right.
I love it. The plant man over there. All right, so this is a trick Jake taught me that if you're dealing with student data, exports from PowerSchool, this is a great little trick to work in Google Sheets. I admit I'm a little bit of a spreadsheet snob. I know I'm not the only one in this group that is, and I prefer Google Sheets. So on the first picture up there, you can see that I've downloaded, it's that bottom bar that comes up in Chrome, that I've downloaded a spreadsheet, and here I'm doing a CSV export from Canvas. Again, picture you're doing a roster or something from PowerSchool, and it's the same thing. Then in the sheet, what I'm doing is I'm opening a Google Sheet, I'm clicking File, then selecting Import. And then once I do that, I'm going to upload the file from my computer directly into the Google Sheet. What I like about this is I never have to open up Excel. I never have to go into the spreadsheet in Excel or open up a CSV. I can just go straight into it. Jake, I can demo if you want. I can take over, or if you want to.
Yeah,
do it.
You can present your screen.
Okay. Yeah, I've got one ready. So let me get my screens ready because we've always got a ton of them. All right. Entire screen share now. Make sure I get the right one.
We've got some slowness happening. It looks like the stream is buffering. It's still looking at the guides right now. Well,
awesome.
So
are you seeing a spreadsheet for me on
yes.
my present? Yes. Okay. Got a brand new spreadsheet. You can see that I've downloaded this course list over here. And instead of clicking to open it and open in Excel, I'm going to click File, Import, and I'm going to upload directly from Drive. It's going to take a second. And it's going to ask me what I would like to do. More often than not, I just choose to replace the current sheet. Oftentimes, I'll have other data within the file. So I'm going to replace the current sheet. Jake, what do you tend to do? Same thing?
Yeah. Or a new sheet if it's a spreadsheet that already has some sheets I'm using.
Yeah. So it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to replace the contents of the sheet you're on, then this works.
It's essential that you know the difference between sheet and spreadsheet when you do this. So you need to be able to distinguish. A spreadsheet is the entire file. The sheet is the individual tabs at the bottom of the screen, like sheet 1 that we see here. So he's going to replace replaced sheet 1 with
there it is.
Data. Yeah, it's Google Drives, or Google in general, is moving a little slow this week. That's what I'm finding.
Yeah. So as Jake was saying about the difference between a spreadsheet and a sheet, this entire thing is the spreadsheet file. These are my individual sheets down here. So as you can see, it replaced all my data. It's in a Google Sheet. I never have to open this up. So this was a little trick we wanted to share with y'all um, about how to do this. Bring this over. But yeah,
Cool.
stop presenting. Let you take over. I think that'll bounce you a little bit.
Yeah, I gotta go back to my presentation, resume, and we are back. All right. And of course, they made a link here to click here to learn more as you go. Let's see.
Yeah, that link didn't have the pretty pictures though. So
Yeah, very true. All right. So yeah, importing into a Google Sheet, that's gonna probably come up more and more as we work in systems like Canvas and PowerSchool. The need to import data to continue the work. All right. So now we'll move on to questions. Remember, don't submit questions with personally identifiable information like student IDs, emails, and whatnot. To keep your questions general for this. If you have specific users with issues, just put in a help desk ticket for that, as usual. All right. Let's take a look. We got 2 questions so far. We have, as a school Canvas admin, is there a way to compare analytics for the entire school from first quarter to second quarter to third quarter using new analytics? Can I see that teachers in my school posted 5,000, or I can see in first quarter they posted 5,000 assignments and 3,500 by students. Then compare that to 500 assignments in second quarter, or 5,000 and 3,000 were submitted. Yeah, so see the progress over time. So I'm trying to see trying to understand what she's referring to.
that new analytics, is that restricted to the courses she's a teacher of?
So yeah, so if I go to, well, no, as an admin, there's new analytics, and then a course, there's analytics as well. So 2 different places for this. If you're in an individual course, of course, you can see it by week, but that's not what she's referring to. I'm assuming she means by the, if we were to go into, let me go out, go to the, where's analytics?
It's at the bottom above settings.
Oh.
It got me too.
So if you're looking at account analytics, yeah, you have to pick the term, which is the bucket for those courses. Like most courses, the largest percentage of courses in CMS for this school year will be the year-round courses, the 2020-21 year ending in May 28th, right? That's when most of the courses will appear. So that can give you activity by date and by category, but I'm not sure if it's going to break down the way she's asking. So basically, Nelda, what I'm getting at is the data you can see is the data you have access to, and that's it. We don't have any other special way to retrieve this data. It's possible, but we don't have the storage to process the terabytes of data that we would need to be able to give you those answers today. That would require a heavy lift from an accountability team with a database to be able to do that. We do not. So what you have is the analytics that are presented here. And then I'm doing this for all of CMS, so this is going to come out to be really big, and it's choking just trying to load. So your analytics, the course analytics, and then for your account, for your school's analytics screens are what you have access to. The only other option you would have there is you could, what am I doing? Isn't it showing me? Oh, because I'm in the wrong sub account. I'm in as the wrong user. This user doesn't have the same places I do. But if you go to your sub account settings, you can do reports, but this isn't going to do what you want either. But the reports have other, like you can get CSV files for like the last activity for users. You can get grades for all of your users in your for your school. The last user access will tell you the last time they accessed Canvas and what course it was that they accessed. So it's very useful for that kind of stuff. And there's even students with no submissions. I'd recommend taking a look at that one if you want to be able to get in front of issues that may be showing up soon if they haven't participated. Students with no submissions reports is useful there. So those are the different things that you can run here, and I would recommend taking a look at those. But I'm not sure I can. I don't think you'll be able to get the answer to the question that you're trying to ask there, Nelda. But you can see like activity by date. This is just participation. That could be an assignment, a quiz, a discussion. Anything students actually submit something to would be a participation. And then you got different things by category, but it doesn't break down by grading period. It does not. So that information would not be retrievable at the school level. For each individual course, that information could be retrieved, but it's not still not quite in the format for what you're trying to answer. So unfortunately, a lot of questions that you want to ask, and when you're starting to analyze data, you have to think about the question you want to ask and then think about how you can retrieve that information, and it may not be as directly accessible, so you have to make inferences based on information that you can get to. So that's the best answer I can give there. Yeah, so I see progression in work done or time spent in Canvas per course. You could see that, but overall for your school, you would not. It just has to do with the way the buckets are designed. There's no way to